What's up guys, Back here with yet another video. So today I want to talk to you all about color grading Fujifilm footage. Mainly because you cannot record in F-Log inside the camera, which is unfortunate for a lot of people who have gotten used to Sony having S-Log built into the A6300 and the A6500. You can work around it. You can create a flat enough picture style that you can get some really good work done. The thing about Fuji is that I don't feel as though it really needs as much work as you would think. But you can customize it, you can tweak it to just exactly how you want to do it. And until Fujifilm releases a firmware update that allows us to record in F-Log inside the camera, this is what you have to do unless you own an external recorder. So, if you guys are ready, let's check this thing out.
Okay, so first let's make sure that you've got your camera set up correctly. Let's go to the quick menu and let's select a film simulation. In my particular case, I'm going to be using ProNeg Standard, and in that is a pretty good balanced flat profile, but you can enhance that just a little bit more. You can change your highlight tone, drop it down to -2, then drop over to your shadows, drop that down to -2, drop your color by -4, and you can also drop your sharpness by -2, 3, or 4. I just happen to prefer 2, but if you want to change it, you just drop down and then rotate your rear wheel, and you can go down all the way to -4. So after you've got that done, shoot your footage, and then head on over to Final Cut Pro 10. Okay, so we're in Final Cut Pro 10, and I'm going to change my workspace. So I'm going to go up here to Window, and I'm going to go to Workspace. I'm going to go to Color and Effects. This kind of optimizes the workspace for, obviously, coloring and affecting. Easy enough to understand. And we get a full gamut of scopes over here on the left. So we've got our Lumiscope, our RGB Parade, Vector Scope, and our RGB Overlay. Like I said earlier, I love the way Fuji renders the color anyway, so it makes color grading Fuji footage really easy for me. I'm not going to use any plugins, I'm not going to use any LUTs, I'm not going to use anything that you can download off the internet. I'm just going to show you how you can do it in Final Cut Pro 10 without having to spend a dime. You can change it depending on your situation, depending on what you like to see, depending on the tone or the mood of the shot that you're working with. I happen to shoot all of these clips on a really cloudy, sort of rainy day. It was kind of gross out. So I want to enhance that mood just a little bit. I want to keep the shadows a little bit colder, and I want to keep the highlights a little bit warmer. Pretty standard, pretty traditional way of color grading footage. The major thing that I like to keep in mind is I don't want to clip any of my data. When you set up your settings in camera, make sure you don't crush your blacks and make sure you don't blow out your highlights. Keep a really close eye on your histogram on the camera, and once you get it in, you'll be able to see that we've got plenty of headroom here for the highlights, and we've got plenty of floor room for the shadows. So I don't really want to add a whole lot of contrast to this, but here's what we're going to do. Grab the color correction, drop it on the clip. I'm going to only do exposure with this one. Okay, that way if I need to change a little something here or there, I can. So if I wanted to increase contrast, I could drop my shadows just a bit. Maybe just a little bit more. Because this is a static shot, it doesn't move around a whole lot, so I don't have to worry about changing lighting conditions. And maybe punch up the highlights just a little bit. And I kind of want to drop the midtones down just a bit. Looks pretty good right about there. All right, so we still kind of maintained the whole dreary look. So let's just see what this looks like without. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop another color correction on the footage, and that's going to be called color correction number 2. I wish Final Cut Pro 10 would allow me to change the name of these, but they won't. All right, so the next thing I'm going to change is saturations. Like, how much saturation do I want in this shot? So if it's cold and it's kind of dreary, if I really wanted to enhance that, I don't think that we would, boost saturation, but we could. I almost sort of want to desaturate even a little bit more to really drive home that feeling of cold, desolate, but still while maintaining just a tinge of the color, because even though this leaf is dead, it still has some color there, and I want to sort of bring that out. So I'll just drop it to about -10 or so. So now let's see what that color correction looks like. It's subtle, but it's there. now I want to add another color correction. And this color correction is going to be called color correction number 3. And in this one, I'm going to actually do the color correction. All right, as I said before, this is a static shot. It's not going to move around. I can probably get away with doing very broad brush strokes here because it's not moving. I'm going to cool down the shadows. So I'm going to grab my shadow puck here, and I'm going to go to about 250 degrees. And I'm going to leave it at about 10%. That looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going to grab my highlights. I'm going to go all the way over here to about 15 degrees or so. I'm going to put that up at about 10 degrees. That's a good starting point for just about everything. Knock that over to 15. Okay, so let's see what this adjustment now looks like. Big difference. All right, so this is what we started off with. Now let's add our exposure, which increases our contrast. We had a slight saturation change. It wasn't massive, it wasn't huge, but it was just subtle enough that we desaturated that color. And then we actually add our color treatment. Very subtle, but it completely changes the tone and the mood and the look of this. It doesn't look as digital. It looks much more filmic. Now, you could go quite a bit further. You could add some film grain to this if you wanted to, but I could always add that later. So anyway, I'm going to copy these effects here, and let's just do, say, this shot here. All right, so we've got this really cool looking tree, and this one actually moves. So let's just start here. Let me split it so that we can isolate this one clip because it actually moves. And I'm just going to hit Option Command V. All right, now what I did is I hit Option Command C on this clip, and I copied all of the effects and I pasted them onto this one. So because this moves, this would be a much more complicated shot. It's not a static shot. Again, that's advanced color grading. You could do masking. You could do all kinds of different things in order to maintain the look throughout a shot if you're moving. But the major things that you're wanting to look for is, now that you've applied all of the effects, to maintain a consistent look, does it look as good over here in your scopes? Don't ever just rely on your eyeballs. Your eyes adjust really fast. But if we look over here, we are popping some of the highlights. That's to be expected, but could we make it a little bit better? So let's go to exposure, and let's maybe bring down the highlights just a little bit. So are we crushing any of the blacks? It doesn't look like it, but we could boost those up a bit. But let's recover the midtones a little bit, and that will kind of lift up the shadows as well. So much better looking. We've got some floor room, and we've got just a smidge of headroom. Of course, the sky was not going to be protected. I didn't shoot this with an ND filter or anything. So anyway, now let's adjust our saturation. So we're saturated pretty heavily here in the res. We might be able to do something, but I'm okay with the look of this. Trying to bring back just a little bit because those trees in the background are in fact green. So if I decrease too much, it just kind of goes to different shades of gray. Yeah, it's not really coming back a whole lot, but that does bring back some of the green, like back here in these. It just adds a little bit of pop of color when you raise it up just a little bit. So I'm fine with that. And our final correction is, let's take a look at the color. So overall, I'm okay with this. I think we could probably drop the blue just a little bit and increase the warmth just a little bit so that it actually adds a little something. It just feels a little too bland because we do have that one big pop of color there. This one doesn't have as much, so I'm much more okay with this one. So we're not blowing anything out. Our color tones look pretty similar to what we've got over here. And let's see how it looks as a moving shot. So yeah, it's got a much more cinematic look as compared to this. So you can see that, I mean, it's still really damn good looking, but if you want to add a little bit to it, really kind of give it some deepness and some depth, Fujifilm puts out a fantastic file when it comes to video. So here's the last one I'm going to play around with, and I'm just going to start, because we've got some sky and some greenery back here, I'm just going to copy this one. It may be too much, but we won't know until we try. So Option Command V. And we look pretty close to that one. We look pretty close to that one. I think we might want to change the saturation just a little bit. I think it might be a bit overboard. All right. We are crushing our blacks a bit, so let's change our exposure. Let's bring up those shadows so we're not losing anything. We could probably boost up the highlights because the sky in the background is really kind of inconsequential to this particular shot. And I think we're pretty close to representing the overall look that we were going for in all of those shots. So yeah, I mean, you could just keep doing that over and over and over again. You know, you find a good look that you like, apply it to the footage, and then just adjust as necessary. You know, just keep making it your own as many times as you want. And like I said, I love the way the Fujifilm colors look. I love the way they process. And Fujifilm is extremely easy to get to look really nice with just a few simple little adjustments. So there you go.
So there you have it. There you go, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and also don't forget to subscribe if you loved this video. At any rate, thanks so much for stopping here at the Photo Video Show. I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and I will see you guys again on the next one. Peace.